All right, man. Peace. I stole that from one of my favorite guys on YouTube, Chronicles of Judah. He always starts his videos out with, "All right, man. Peace." Yeah, I get that though. I mean, he puts out some amazing content. Check him out. And I think why I might have channeled that because all I did was hit record. I pulled this up and hit record, and what he likes to do is do commentary on stuff put out there. What I'm going to do is put out commentary on my own thing, check out some of the comments and see what's going on with this video. Yeah, but every time I put out one of these questioning, the aviation industry and the travel industry on how they're producing some form of free energy engine machines using compressed air, using the turbines the way they are, probably not using as much fuel as they're claiming to be, which would be scamming us on prices of travel and what fuel cost is such a big thing in on Earth. The cost of fuel is massive. It's one of the biggest industries on Earth. So if they're able to not use as much fuel, but say they are using more fuel than they are, they can charge us for that. So they're profiting off, telling us that they're using more fuel than they actually are. So maybe they're using a little bit of fuel, right? For takeoff, for landing, mechanics and some stuff like that. But this magical jet fuel that they talk about is non-existent. And we also gotta remember that there's the aspect of, what are fossil fuels? What are fossil fuels? It gets into the whole timeline and dinosaur debate, and did dinosaurs even exist? So if they're pulling dinosaur dino fuel, this special dino jet fuel, this perfect mixture to create flight, right? What is that? So I question that. I question stuff. That's what I do. And wrong or right, take it or leave it. It's what I do. And I just like to put this stuff out there. So I'm going to chime in on my own video here. I'm going to hit play. So obviously this is a helicopter levitating. What a lot of people try to do, I'm going to pause that. I'm going to back up just a little bit. What a lot of people try to do, and I get it. I take pictures. I take film. I understand film rate. And this particular video might be a product of film rate. But it's still out there, and this is still something that I need to think about, not you, but I need to think about. That's why I put this out. That's why I put this stuff out there, because I'm thinking about it, and I want to present the question. I mean, there's enough evidence in other areas of free energy being used, throughout centuries, dating back to the pyramids and churches being free energy, like power stations, a power plant, like we have today. You know, it's schematics. It's like the pyramids, same thing, all over Earth. You know, so a little off subject there, but so what I'm getting at is there's been so much just evidence of free energy being used over the course of human history, and you know, electromagnetic energy, static electricity, being just utilized as a source of energy. So when I see this, and if you think about the camera rate, you also have to consider the fact that cameras are deceiving us too. There's a deception in the way that cameras are designed to distort our perception of reality, distance, size, shape, everything. So we gotta keep that in mind too. Enslaved by No Media has pointed that out for the last 2 years. Somebody that I respect as putting out truth also. I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to chime in. This is just a little example of let's go turn that down a little bit. Compressed air, you know, levitation. So what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm showing you guys the kind of propaganda that they put out. Let's see how it works. That's going to back it up just a little bit right there. The outside air. Hang on one second. We'll come back to that outside air in the moment. And that is such a key truth that they're putting out there, is what they're using is the outside air. The outside air is what is in our atmosphere, our troposphere, is that electrical air that they are pulling through. Hang on one second here, guys. I am going to hang on. But yeah, the out. So what I wanted to touch on there is that they're talking about the outside air. That outside air being pulled in. He's going to say, we'll come back to that outside air. And that's such a key element of what's going on, is they're pulling that outside air, that electrical air from the atmosphere, from it's already charged, and they're pulling it through these turbines, these blades that resonate it, and turbines compress air for fuel. And when you compress air, it's combustible. You don't need liquid if you're compressing the air. Compressed air will turn into a fuel. If you take a plastic bottle, blow some air into it, and you twist it until it pops, a little poof of air will come out of that. You'll see a little poof of white, like a little cloud. That's the compression of that air. It just That's where you get your chemtrails, dudes. It's not chemtrails. It's compressed air turning into that poof, that cloud of compressed air. And in the meantime, they right around in here is where they have a technology that utilizes that poof, and then this just blows it out. It opens up to let it expand. It's open here, brings it in, here. So you're tightening it, you're twisting it, poof, bam. So that air just turned into a fuel. You didn't need any liquid. But they're telling you otherwise. Bam! We'll come back to that outside air in a moment. For now, let's follow the air in the corner. It goes into a compressor, something like many household fans joined together. Each fan gets smaller and smaller as the blades squeeze the air into a tighter and tighter space. Here we go. Until jet fuel, magical jet fuel, a kind of super gasoline. Right there. Whoa! So what they're telling you is that it needs fuel, but it doesn't. They told you the truth in the beginning of this video, that it's just using the outside air. But notice when he started talking about jet fuel, it got all like dramatic. Hang on, let me see if I can find that real quick. Here we come. Super gasoline! Countdown to the dramatic! All right. All right. All right. So, all right, moving on. Rush of hot air. Right there, he just said the XX air of the combustor blows out of the back of the turbine. He calls it a turbine. Everybody else calls it a turbine. He calls it a turbine. The excess hot air from the combustor blows out the back of the engine, producing thrust. Producing thrust. Just another little example. Questioning. Questioning stuff. The next part of this video is going to go into helicopter stuff. Same kind of stuff going on with the helicopters. Not all helicopters, obviously. Not like your, like private helicopters and stuff like that. I'm talking about the turbine-driven ones, the ones that you hear not only rev up, but you hear that resonation going on. And those are the ones that I think that are using some of the same technology that the commercial airline and military turbine driven jet planes. I'm not talking when I talk about planes not using fuel. I'm not talking about your private planes that private you can get a private pilot license. I'm not talking about those kind of course, they don't use turbines. I'm talking about turbine driven engines, turbines. They're using some form of a compression of air, of some compression involved to have some sort of an exhaust from a different source of combustion, not from liquid. All right, so rest of this video, it's moving on a little bit into what I've kind of been talking about with other branches of military and aviation and commercial travel using turbine-driven free energy for travel. Cruise ships, ocean liners, fighter jets, all of them, dudes. I mean, seriously. Come on. Okay, hang on one second right there. So these fighter jets, let's get into that for a second. Quick second. They're telling us that they're putting all this. You guys hear that rustle back in my microphone? That's rain outside. Anyway, so they are telling us they're putting all this liquid fuel in these fighter jets that need to do all these maneuvers and spinning around, elevation changes going, Mach whatever. And you cannot have a bunch of liquid sloshing around in this wing. If you're doing all those maneuvers, it makes no sense for any kind of aerodynamics and stuff. We know what liquid does. I mean, we all of us at some point in our lives have had a cup of water that was a little too full and tried to still walk across the room holding it and not spilling one drop. And it's almost impossible. You almost get always a little drip over the edge or something. And that's what they're telling us they're doing with these. They're flying around and keeping it. It makes no sense to me. And we all know how much water liquid weighs. So that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight for these things to be flying that fast. And so make all these maneuvers and all that. It just makes no sense to me. And these naval ships, they're massive. I've never been on one, but they're clearly massive. They're huge. And to use all that fuel and to travel just so many nautical miles on this very rough, hard to maneuver terrain we call oceans. The amount of fuel that would be needed for that is insane. So they have certainly figured out a way to do it using the actual ocean, the water, which is also air, as the fuel. It's the same that the planes fly using the air as their fuel. These things travel using the water as their fuel, and water and air are the same thing. And I just went back to the beginning. Hang on a second. Let's get back up where we were. All right, sorry. That wasn't that long ago. Yeah, submarines, same thing. They use um, the the water just like the air. Same kind of free energy engine going on. Coming up for air. And then we can also get into, Formula One race cars and the kind of motorcycles that use the same technology. It's all over the industry. It's it's everywhere. Free energy is everywhere. It's been around forever, and yeah, I think it's been concealed um, for a long time. It's been around for a long time, and since day one, since day one, certain groups and certain, you know, uh, you know, uh, s- selected pockets of humanity has had the knowledge of this and has utilized that knowledge for thousands of years. That's another thing you can look at is how fast these um, Formula One race cars are going. They're telling us they're going about 250 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. And when that flies by that fast, you have to think about the planes up in the sky. They tell us they're going 500 miles per hour plus. So that's when you get back into perception and distance and, like I was talking about earlier, cameras and how it's being distorted. Frame rates. That's why I included the helicopter video and the frame rate debates. Is that a frame rate a trick of the camera, or is it actually just a helicopter hovering? It kind of all ties together. The free energy, the camera hoax, and all this stuff just kind of ties together. And I try to question myself on this stuff. You guys can go through and read these comments and stuff. There's a lot of people call me stupid and pointing out just how dumb I am. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of these guys in here wanting me to elaborate. So I guess this is my elaboration on this. blah blah blah. It's a lot of stuff that I'm fine with being questioned. It doesn't bother me. But so many of these guys come in here and it's just like a script. Like they're paid to come in here and say the same stuff over and over again. Zero liquid is used. They're just always with the same kind of narrative. And yeah, so I mean, you guys can go through and read the comments on the original video, or not, but yeah. So I thought I would go ahead and throw this out there, and that's it. Guys, just talking about it, and at the end of the day, just trying to get to the bottom of the truth. And it seems to me that if we could be scammed on this, we would be. We're scammed on so many other levels of just always being ripped off on so many levels, so many surcharges and extra charges and this and that. And if there's a way for certain groups that are already kind of in control of stuff to make even more money off of us and pass laws to do it and mislead us using their magic tricks, they're just a bunch of wizards, man. They know how to perform magic on us through the media and through cameras and through our perception. And they know perception is the most important thing to have control of, is our perception of our reality, with how we perceive our past and our present. They don't care about our future. They don't want us to think about our future. They want us to think we're going to retire. Retire. They mostly concentrate on what we're thinking pretty much every present moment. They control us from the past. They control our perception of the past so that we view our present a certain way. It all ties together.